Kam karoti vaichanam pancham langhayati girim yotkipayatam vande shikaram dina tarinam. Omajnana timandasya jananjana shlakaya chakshurmritam yena tasmai shri-gurave namah. Namo Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prasthaya bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jyamudiyayat Nastriya Sabhatrasu Nityam Bharavata Sevya Bharavati Utmaske Bhaktiya Bhavati Naistiki. So before we start, I just remind you tomorrow we have a class at 11 instead of 2 p.m. That because of the start of the hermeneutics course. So today we will discuss Canto 10, chapter 17, verses 13 till 25. We heard last time about the history of Kaliya. So now we are going back to the residence of Vrindavan. I will read verses 13 and 14. Resuming his description of Krishna's chastisement of Kaliya, Sukadeva Goswami continued. Krishna rose up out of the lake wearing divine garland fragrances and garments, covered with many fine jewels and decorated with gold. When the Kauravas saw him, they all stood up immediately, just like an unconscious person's senses coming back to life. Filled with great joy, they affectionately embraced him. So now the coward boys are going to rise up. Lord Krishna was their life. So when he was released from Kaliya, everyone got back their life. When Krishna is in trouble, they feel they are in trouble and they fell unconscious. They were so much connected with Krishna. If something happens to Krishna, they faint. Now Krishna is coming out of the Yamuna, and according to Sanatana Goswami, they fell on the ground because they felt bewildered. Now they woke up because they smelled the sweet fragrance from his lotus feet coming out of the water. And when he came out, they all smelled, and they got consciousness, just like someone faints and you put something under their nose. It worked in this instance also that the fragrance of Krishna's lotus feet went into their nostrils and they rose up from the ground and they came out of their bewilderment. Sanatana Goswami says, because they were bewildered, they didn't notice that Krishna was dancing and all the celestials singing and music. They didn't know what was going on. They were all too bewildered. Everyone on the shore was just bewildered. Sanatana Goswami says that this is proved as we don't hear them talking about it. They are not talking about it. Usually if Krishna does something, then everyone is talking about it. And here they don't talk about it. Sanatana Goswami says, how is it possible, if they were dead, that they all rose at the same time, just by seeing Krishna? In anticipation of this objection, the conclusion is established by an example by the words beginning with Labda. Everyone got up before Yasoda, so all of them got to embrace him repeatedly. But first, the friends got up. Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has another opinion about his rising up. He says that it refers to Krishna coming out of the river. It means that he was 2 feet above the water and he had invisibly climbed up upon some serpent. Rising up, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, refers to Krishna rising up. Otherwise, if he was inside the water, then how could they put the necklaces and the fragrances? So the Gopas were the first to get up. Because of them, youthful impetuousness, because of their youthful impetuousness. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said it refers also to them, the cowherd boys. Everyone got up. Krishna got up from the water and everyone got up from their unconscious state. Text 15. Yasoda Rohini Nanda Kopa Kopya Sakarava Krishnam Samitya Lapteha Asan Suska Naga Api. Having regained their vital functions, Yasoda, Rohini, Nanda, and all the other cowherd women and men went up to Krishna, O descendant of Kaur. Even the dried trees came back to life. Ramasayuttamalinga Yahasayanubhavavit Premnatam Ankamaropya Puna Puna Udakshata Kavavisa Vatsataryo Lebire Paramam Mudam. Lord Balaram embraced his infallible brother and laughed, knowing well the extent of the potency of Krishna. Out of great feelings of love, Balaram lifted Krishna up his lap and repeatedly looked at him. The cows, bulls, and young female calves also achieved the highest pleasure. So, before there was a big scene, everyone was crying, the animals were crying and the people were unconscious. Now the cows, the bulls and calves are now very happy and the people are regaining their consciousness. And Lord Balaram is embracing Lord Krishna on his lap and repeatedly looking at him. Yasoda, because she was more overwhelmed, Sanatana Goswami said that they had more bewilderment than others. It took them longer to regain consciousness. And only after everything else did they again regain their consciousness. The Gopas woke up first and the elder ones woke up later. Shiva Goswami said the trees were imitating the people of Braj. They had become dried up. So the animals were crying. The people fainted and the trees dried up when Krishna was in the clutch of Kaliya. Now Krishna got out and the trees started shooting up sprouts and new leaves. It is said here that these trees were very ancient and had dried up by Kaliya's poison also. They had made no trace of their existence. They had to grow again and form new sprouts. They were starting again. And Mother Yasoda, she was very agitated. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, She was surrounded by all her friends, but Nanda Maharaj couldn't wait. He just pushed through all the women and went to Krishna, and all the coward's men followed behind Nanda Maharaj. You are not supposed to go where the women are, but he just couldn't wait, pushed his way through and went to Krishna. So that is the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Then Srila Vishwanath talks about the young gopis. They were embracing Krishna with the folded palms of their eyes. The gopis do everything with their eyes. Previously, when Krishna came back in the evening, they are communicating with Krishna in 3 different ways. Interesting. They are worshipping Krishna with their glances in 3 ways. They offered glances of submission, they offered glances of jubilation, glances of shyness. So first shyness, and then their shyness got shut down, and then there's jubilation and submission. So the gopis were there, and they were doing their things with their eyes, worshipping Krishna. So everyone was achieving their respective desires. Now Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, Balaram was laughing and said, "We are very fortunate and appropriate that you have acted like this." But even though he knew Krishna's power, still he was checking his hands and feet to make sure Kaliya didn't bite him anywhere. Balaram knew everything, still he was concerned for Krishna's protection. Of course we know that Krishna got bit on the chest, but there was no injury. So Balaram has a mixture of Sakyabhav and paternal love for Krishna. Because of his love, that covered his knowledge. We know that Balaram lost it in one of the Lilas, where he was completely covered. He didn't know what was going on. And which pastime was that? Can someone say which pastime?
Brahma Vimohan.
Yeah, Brahma Vimohan Lila, yes. He did not figure out until 6 days before Krishna showed him. A whole year he did not figure out that actually all the cows and cowherd boys were Krishna's expansions. Balaram didn't know until the end. Then gradually Yoga Maya lifted the covering in stages. Text 17. Nandam viprasamagatya guravasa kalatraka uchyaste kaliya rasto distya muktas tavatmaja. Providence is always protecting Krishna somehow or another, either Providence or Narayan, or the mantras of the Brahmins, but certainly not Krishna himself. He can't take care of himself. So they think it is only due to their worship of Narayan. It is by the mantras of the Brahmins that Krishna is safe. So yes. So that was 17, I read it again. All the respectful Brahmins together with their wives came forward to greet Nanda Maharaj. They said to him, Kaliya, your son was in the grips of Kaliya, but by the grace of Providence, he is now free. Dedanam tvichatinam Krishna nirmukti etave Nanda pita manarajan kasurvarnam tadadishat. The Brahmins then advised Nanda Maharaj to assure that your son will always be free from danger. You should give charity to the Brahmins. With a satisfied mind, O King Nanda then very gladly gave them gifts of cows and gold. So, on festivals or on festifications, the Brahmins would go and beg. And so here was a festival that, because Krishna was saved from Kaliya. Text 19. Yasodapi Mahabhaga Nastalabda Prajasati Parisvayankam Arupya Momosa Sukalam Maho. The greatly fortunate Mother Yasoda, having lost her son and then regained him, placed him on her lap. That chaste lady cried constant tears, torrents of tears, and she repeatedly embraced him. So this verse is quoted also in Nectar of Devotion. Our Mother Yasoda would experience such transcendental happiness when Krishna was saved from a dangerous situation. So this verse is quoted. Our Mother Yasoda felt so fortunate that she got her child back. She put him on her lap, began to embrace him, and again, torrents of tears, and she couldn't express her joy. It is stated in Vihe-Bhaktivedanta Madhava of Srila Rupa Goswami, My dear Krishna, the touch of your mother is so pleasing and cooling that it surpasses the cooling capacity of the pulp of sandalwood and of bright moonshine mixed with the pulp of ushira root. So it must be very cool, the moonshine. With this we will hear about this in the next class, or maybe even in this class. So Mother Yasoda cried from happiness, and then she cried when she remembered the danger. So she was always crying. So now we are going to verse 20. Tamratrim tatra rachindra shutribhyam shamakashita usuvachakasho gava kalindya upakulata. O best of kings, Parikshit, because the residents of Vrindavan were feeling very weak from hunger, thirst and fatigue, they and the cows spent the night where they were lying down near the bank of the Kalindi. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami points out that although the people were weak from hunger and thirst, they did not drink the milk from the cows present there, because they feared it had been contaminated by the serpent's poison. The residents of Vrindavan were so overjoyed to get back their beloved Krishna that they did not want to go back to their houses. They wanted to stay with Krishna on the bank of the Yamuna, so that they could continuously see him. Thus they decided to take rest near the river bank. Because the whole day was quite an intense experience. Krishna was in the clutches of Kaliya, and they all fainted. Then Krishna was embracing all of them. It took a lot of time. Now it was night time, and they didn't want to go back. Also, they didn't want to be separate from Krishna, because night time means that the cowherd boys are going to be separated, and all the cowherd men and women that are going to be separated at night. Maybe on exception of the gopis. They meet with Krishna at night. So therefore, they decided, just let us stay tonight with Krishna. Then we will be able to see him and to be with him all night. That was the main thing in their decision, that they would be able to see Krishna. And Sanatan Goswami said that night was full of supreme ecstasy. And Braj, the village, was a bit far away. That they didn't go back. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that Kali has left, that if he comes back, then we have our clubs and we will beat him if Kalia dares to come back. But we won't go back to our houses because then we won't be able to see Krishna. So that was the real reason. So that was the thought in everyone's mind. And Nanda Maharaj said, let us stay and rest here. And they went a little bit to the side, not quite on the bank of the Yamuna, because of their fear for poison in the water. And otherwise it would not have been feasible for them for the forest fire to surround them. They are going to be surrounded by a forest fire. We will see. That text 21. Tata chuchi vina bhoto tavachni sarvato vrajam saptam nishita avritya pradardam upasakrame. During the night, while all the people of Vrindavan were asleep, a great fire blazed up within the dry summer forest. The fire surrounded the inhabitants of Vraj on all sides and began to scorch them. So Srila Sanatan Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have commented that perhaps a loyal friend of Kalia had assumed the form of a forest fire to avenge his friend, or perhaps the forest fire was manifest by a demon who was a follower of Kamsa. So there are two opinions, but we will hear a third opinion also. So here they say that either it can be a loyal friend of Kalia or some demon sent by Kamsa. Text 22. Tata utaya sambranta dayamana vachokasa vishnam jayuste sharanam maya manujam ishvaram. So, then the residents of Vrindavan woke up extremely disturbed by the great fire, threatening to burn them. Thus, they took shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, who by spiritual potency appeared like an ordinary human being. Purport. The Shruti of Vedic mantra states Svarupa Bhutaya Nitya Saktya Maya Kaya. The Lord's eternal potency, named Maya, is innate in his original form. Thus, within the eternal spiritual body of the Supreme Lord, there is infinite potency, which effortlessly manipulates all existence according to the omniscient desire of the Absolute Truth. The residents of Vrindavan took shelter of Krishna, thinking, this blessed boy will certainly be empowered by God to save us. They remembered the word of the sage Garga Muni spoken at the birth ceremony of Lord Krishna. Anena sarvadurane yujam anyastarishyata. By his power you will be able to cross over all obstacles. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8.16. Therefore, the residents of Vrindavan who had full faith in Krishna took shelter of the Lord in hopes of being saved from the impending disaster threatened by the forest fire. So, the residents of Vrindavan, they were not thinking, oh, God will save them. That they were thinking, Krishna is very fortunate. He saved us all from the demons. So he will be empowered again to save us. This is going on to all the pastime. They remember these words of Gargamuni. Now, I will read a part from Ananda Vrindavan Shampoo, which gives a very poetic description. So the residents of Vrindavan, first there were some loud sounds. Hearing the commotion, the cows woke up and cautiously looked in all directions. The Gopal leaders talked among themselves. They said, "What is happening?" Those who were asleep awoke and shouted in alarm. Looking worriedly toward Krishna, the gopis said, "The nails of his feet are more washable than millions of our lives. Let there be no danger for him." Judging from their frightened glances, Krishna, the darling of Vrindavan, looked at them with love and assured them in a grave voice. He said, "Fear not, fear not." Speculating about the impending calamity, the people said, "Is Kalia seeking revenge and racing along the path beside the lake? Or is it a large group of wild elephants madly due to intoxication from playing in a mountain pool?" Then someone announced in a loud voice mixed with pain, "Hey, look! Come on, there is no way out. Surrounding us is a huge forest fire about to devour us. Fire! Fire!" On hearing this, Maharaj Nanda became afraid, but remembering Gargamuni's words, he immediately approached his son and said, "Oh my dear son, please save us. Just in front of us is an immense forest fire. And you are the only one and only Lord of Vrindavan. This terrible fire is burning down your home of Vrindavan and rushing toward us with tremendous speed. Only you can put out this fire. There can be no more auspiciousness unless it is extinguished." Seeing his mother, his father, his friends and family members overwhelmed with distress, Madhava said, "Do not fear. An ordinary forest fire cannot appear in the transcendental land of Vrindavan. However, Krishna, by his own sweet will, manifested a fire to enchant everyone with his amazing pastimes. The forest fire burned all the dry trees in its path. The leaves on the trees produced a crackling sound and they burned. Frightened animals fled in all directions from the raging fire. Nanda saw the gigantic fire licking the sky with its flames. While observing the forest fire, Krishna thought, "This devastating fire is killing many beasts and threatening the lives of my friends. I feel compassion for the trees whose leaves are burning to ashes, and it hurts me to hear the terrified crying of the cows. The thick clouds of smoke have blinded the poor birds. The birds were flying overhead." So maddened with fear, the deer are running hither and thither. Under these circumstances, what shall I do? So, as one pacifies the desires of poverty-stricken persons, as soon as they arise, Krishna extinguished the fire as soon as it disappeared. It disappeared as quickly as an illusion, a magician's trick, a flash of lightning, an object in a dream, or as the wealth of an unfortunate person. that under the shower of Krishna's merciful glance, the trees, shrubs, creepers return to their previous state. Not a trace of the forest fire remained. Observing this amazement, we talked just like a madman. Everyone said, "Where is that forest fire?" So we had a third opinion of Kavi Karnapuri, that what was his third opinion? Why did the forest fire appear? You remember it? What Kavi Karnapuri said? Someone remembers? Who did it? Shall I read that? Yes?
Friend of Kalia.
No, that were the two other opinions. It could be a friend of Kalia or a friend of Kamsa. But he mentions a third opinion here. I will read it again, the sentences that I read, and try to understand this third position, this third opinion. So, Kavi Karnapuri, he writes, an ordinary forest fire cannot appear in the transcendental land of Vrindavan. However, Krishna, by his own will, manifested a fire to enchant everyone with his amazing pastimes. So he says, Krishna did it. That's the third opinion, Kavi Karnapuri. Yeah. Good. Text 23. Krishna Krishna Mahabhaga He Ramamita Vikrama Esha Gora Tamo Vanis Tavakan Se Ina. So the Vrindavan residents said, Krishna, Krishna, O Lord of all opulence, O Ram, possessor of unlimited power. This terrible fire is about to devour us, your devotees. So Jiva Goswami says, Akutobayam means that without achieving your lotus feet, everything else becomes a source of fear for us. Now Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur will also agree with this opinion here of Jiva Goswami. So I will read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment on verse 23. Just a moment. Following the forest fire. And 23. Just a moment. There in a moment. Chapter 17. Just a moment. Here. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The Vrajavasis called out to Balaram as well, because he had also shown that he was omniscient. By saying Amita Vikrama, they infer that Balaram, like Krishna, was invested with the supernatural powers of some demigod. So Sridhar Swami says that yes, So the Vrajavasis called out to both Krishna and Balaram. And the next is also prayer, text 24. Text 24 first. Shudustaran nasvam pahi kalachne surida prabho nasakumas tvacharanam santyaktum akuto bayam. O Lord, we are your true friends and devotees. Please protect us from this insurmountable fire of death. We can never give up your lotus feet, which drives away all fear. The residents of Vrindavan told Krishna, if this deadly fire overcomes us, we will be separated from your lotus feet, and this is unbearable for us. Therefore, just so that we can go on serving your lotus feet, please protect us. So this prayer actually reveals the Vrajavasis' heart. What are they afraid of? They are afraid that they won't be able to see Krishna anymore. They will be separated from Krishna. Sridhar Swami says, this first means that we don't fear death. However, we cannot bear to be separated from your feet. So death is not a problem for them. It is separation from Krishna. That is the problem. So Jiva Goswami says, nor is it right for us to throw far away the fear of being separated from your feet. Your feet drive away all fear, akuto bayam. Or else it may be interpreted that as long as we are near your feet, we will be completely happy. However, if we cannot stay near to your feet, we suffer greatly. So we don't have fear from any source as long as your feet are present. The separation was actually unbearable for them. And that was the whole reason. They wanted to stay there, just so that they could be with Krishna. And now they are going to be separate from him because of a forest fire. Text 25. That's the last verse. And this last verse we have some different commentaries, very interesting. Text 25. Tam sadvana vaiklavyam niriksha jagatishvara tatachnim apibattivram anantananta saktidrik. So, seeing his devotees so disturbed, Sri Krishna, the infinite Lord of the universe and possessor of infinite power, then swallowed the terrible forest fire. On that swallowing, our different acharyas have different opinions of what actually happened. Did he swallow the fire or did he not swallow the fire? That is the question. So we will find out right now that he will swallow the fire or did not swallow the fire. Sanatana Goswami says, he was pretending to drink it. He acted as he was drinking or swallowing it, but he was actually not swallowing it. But he destroyed it. And there is no need to try to understand this biological reasons, Sanatana Goswami said. There is no need for that. So, don't try to understand it biologically. So the controllers of Brahma and other creators, giver of their potencies. It means that the potency of the fire came from him, or else because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or else because the fire in the mouth of the demigod Agni are non-different. So since Krishna is that's the idea expressed here by Sanatana Goswami. So since Krishna is the source of Agni, he is also the source of the universal form. So putting the fire in his mouth was putting Agni in his proper place. Agni is in the mouth of the Lord, so he put Agni where it belongs, where he belongs. That's all. That is where he came from, and that is where he belongs. He put him back there. It is understood that he even arranged for the satisfaction of Agni. So, if Krishna has fire in his mouth, what will his mother think? She won't be happy. Anticipating this objection is stated Ananta, meaning unbounded, meaning nobody is able to recognize in which mouth the fire entered. So this is an enigmatic statement by Sanatana Goswami. Don't try to understand it by logic. Enigmatic, puzzling. He said, don't try to figure it out. Don't even try. But how could Nanda, Yasoda and the others who are so affectionate to Krishna tolerate seeing him drinking fire, and how they didn't forcibly stop him? So that is replied by the last line in the verse. Ananta Sakti Drik, the possessor of unlimited potencies. It means he performed the drinking in such a way that they couldn't notice at all. They didn't know. They won't be able to notice it from how the fire disappeared. He drank it, but they didn't see. Now, Jiva Goswami, what does he say? That was Sanatana Goswami. Don't even try to understand it. But now, Jiva Goswami says he was acting the imitation of drinking. How he did it? He's the controller, the Ishvara. He could not stop or start Agni. It is just his desire. How could he drink the fire which was in all directions? A logical reason is that his personal form became manifested on all sides. So he expanded himself, and that is what Jiva Goswami said. He expanded his form in all directions to drink the fire. He quotes Ananta Shakti Drik to prove that it is not impossible. He has unlimited Shakti, so he could expand himself and drink up the fire. Then we have another opinion, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So I read first his commentary from the Sarita Darshina. And it's different from everyone else. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, in order to protect his family members, Svajjana, Krishna's prema for them began to search for a suitable power within Krishna to finish the forest fire. So Krishna's prema for them began to search for a suitable power within Krishna to finish the forest fire. How can this very young tender boy swallow such an intense fire? Does Krishna's Samharika Sakti, power of destruction, swallow the fire? Therefore, the description of Krishna being the possessor of unlimited potency, Sakti Drik, and thus swallowing the fire is only a figure of speech, since his Samarika Sakti actually did it. So that's another opinion, that it was his Sakti of a distraction. So the commentators, they interpreted this last line of the verse, Ananto Sakta Drik, Ananto Santa Sakti Drik. They interpreted it in 3 different ways. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said it was his Shakti of destruction. And Jiva Goswami said, no, it was his Shakti of expanding him in all directions. And Santana Goswami said, he put Agni in his mouth where it belongs, and that's it. So 3 different opinions of what happened. So this anartha in the heart of the forest fire represents hatred and arguments between Vaishnavas and different religions, and disrespect each other deities. It can also represent any type of clash or conflict. This is sectarianism. It represents hatred in the name of religion, but not real religion. So when Srila Prabhupada was in Tehran, he appreciated the Muslims 5 times that they prayed 5 times per day. And Srila Prabhupada asked the local devotees in Tehran, what are they chanting? The devotee replied, the names of God. And the devotee asked, shouldn't they chant Hare Krishna? Srila Prabhupada replied, do you want me to be sectarian? That's interesting, that comment by Srila Prabhupada. So we finished here this 17th chapter. We heard the history of Kalia and the forest fire. And we will later, in a few chapters of new, again hear from a forest fire. Very interesting. 2 forest fires. And in the second forest fire, there will be again some opinions by Acharyas. Not so. Any questions? Comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj,
Yes.
thank you. Words are touching our heart. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Maharaj, I see there is a distinction that was made in chapter 21 by the cowherd's breast on the friends of Krishna. Chapter 21.
Chapter 21, we are not yet there.
Yeah. Sorry, that's text 21.
Text 21.
Yes.
That
A sharp distinction was made. And,
Yeah.
and this has often been I think we have experienced before the same sharp distinction. I was thinking that these cowherd friends of Krishna, they are meant to be transcendental, but we see they are making the distinction that the cow might have drunk from the from the water, therefore is contaminated, and we cannot drink its milk. So one could ask, is there any time cow can be contaminated?
is there any?
Is there any time the cows can be contaminated?
Yes, in Kali Yuga they are all contaminated. They are injected so many times that
Really?
that they are all contaminated today. And yeah, drinking their milk may be a problem. Therefore it's advised to have our own cows as much as possible. Of course, Srila Prabhupada had 2 different approaches on that. that because he said about So once they were traveling, and Srila Prabhupada always was drinking milk, even if the milk would come from cows, would be that's to be slaughtered. Srila Prabhupada's opinion was, yes, the cows will be benefited if we offer their milk to Krishna. But at the same time, he also emphasized it's better to have our own cows. And then we have pure milk and from cows that are nicely cared for, that pleases Krishna. So that is preferred. That is first class. That as much as possible having our own cows. And we see that these instructions from Srila Prabhupada, they are becoming more and more actual, and we need more and more to think about these things. There's no easy solution. We are in Kali Yuga. That the greatest export country for beef in the world is India today. What can we say? What's going on? Anyway, we are not supposed to speak on all these details in a Bhagavatam class. That's not appropriate. But, so that's these considerations are there.
I see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So, Mother Prabhupada Priya, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was thinking that it was interesting that when Krishna was in the grips of Kaliya, the Brajavasis weren't thinking, oh, he's the Supreme Lord, he has unlimited potencies, he'll take care of himself, it'll be all right. But then later, when the forest fire was burning, then they did, it seems that they did think that way, because they took shelter of him, thinking that he's going to, he's the only one who can save us. He has these potencies. Gargamuni said, that he would remove all obstacles. But they didn't think that before, just, the day before. So how is it that they're thinking towards Krishna and his ability to protect them and himself shifted so much?
What I see there is that Krishna was in the course of Kaliya, and they were concerned about Krishna. And they felt the pain, and that was horrible for them. But then there is the forest fire. The forest fire will not only devour Krishna, but also them. They were also directly in danger. And the residents of Vrindavan, they naturally depend on Krishna. They don't think him to be God and to have all these potencies, because it's just because Karyamuni said by providence and by the mantras of the Brahmins and by by their blessings, he got all these potencies. And therefore he can protect us because he has these blessings. But in the second case, they were also involved. They were also personally in danger. And that makes it a little different. Therefore they went to him, please, we are depending on you. But it is not just selfish. Like in the Govardhan Lila we will see, that when the Samvartaka clouds come down and then the elder cowherd boys also go to Krishna. And they say, Krishna, 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 save us. And while you are saving us, they said, Krishna, Krishna, save the cows. And while you are saving the cows, save also us. So they didn't put themselves first. first that was not, because it said, our Acharya's comment, they were not fearful, no fear they had. But yes, they depended on Krishna. So in the first case, there was no need to depend on Krishna in the sense that they were not in danger. But in the second case, there was this dependence on Krishna. And these are the main differences of the two situations that I would see. There may be more angles to explain it. Does that help?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. So, Pavitra Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. Kalia became remorseful, humble, and become a devotee after being chastised. And the Lord asked him to leave the lake and go to his former place and his family and friends and children. Did he become a devotee, and is he still living?
Kalia? That
Yes.
I think so. Garuda is still there. So his brother, half brother Kalia, may also still be there. That I've no information that he left this world. Like I said before, the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada about the Kalia Krishna temple in Kalia Krishna temple in Fiji, and they asked Srila Prabhupada, yes, was Kalia living on an island in Fiji? Was this his home base? And Srila Prabhupada said that might be, maybe. So he didn't confirm it. That, yeah. So I don't have that information, but it might that he's still there. Yes. Because they are celestial beings who have very long life. But, okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Mother Sitarani, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I want to add to what Prabhupada Priya's question was. Like, I just want to give a view and also a comment. One is that when Brajvasis are in danger, as we see in the verse 24, and when they reach out to Krishna for protection, in that angle also, they are probably thinking more from his point of view, that how will he live without them? And in that sense also, like, they want protection because they are not really asking for protection for themselves. The concern there is also only for Krishna.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. That's what Balaram said. If you go into the water, then when Krishna will come out, and you died, who will take care of him? So that's also their concern. They want to take care of Krishna. Parental love and Sakyaras also. Thank you. Good point.
And another thing is, Maharaj, we see that the Brahmanas actually advised Nanda Maharaj to give charity to Brahmanas. So I find that quite interesting that, Brahmanas are telling Nanda Maharaj that you must give charity to Brahmanas. So
yeah, that's a little funny, right? But it is according to Shastra that because all these Brahmins were thinking, because they are Vrajavasis, it's because of our mantras, our chanting and so on, that Krishna is empowered. That it's a very funny situation. So it's a little humor is there also inside, and that makes the fast time very sweet. Thank you. So, good, thank you. But Mother Purnamasi Priya, please. Purnamasi, please speak. Yeah. You have to unmute.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I understand 10:17:24 that the resident of Vrindavan told Krishna, if this deadly fire overcome us, we will be separated from your lotus feet, and this is unbearable. Did they understand this Krishna is Supreme Personality for Godhead? Because these words will be used for Krishna, Supreme Personality for Godhead. That's what I wanted to know.
Yes, they did not understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's just one of our villagers, Krishna, the Zada Vrajavasis. That, yes, but it's their prema, their love is covering the idea that he could be God, because that would diminish their love for them. That would diminish their love for them. And that's only Goloka Vrindavan.
Okay, because I had a doubt there whether they understood if Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, no.
Okay, thank you.
He is empowered by Narayan. Because Muni said, yes, he will always, if you are in difficulty, he will get you always out of difficulty. And therefore they were depending on Krishna.
Thanks.
Thank you. So, Tribhuvana Prabhu, any further comments?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you. Maharaj, we see a consistent word coming, keep coming. Seeing Krishna in all things, just like Kavi Kanapura has mentioned, that this devastating fire was caused by Krishna. So, how often can we recognize this, Maharaj, that all causes are Krishna causes? Whether good or bad, is all Krishna's making.
Yeah, it was like, I remember Muskarika showed us, Babaji, that, he was chanting in a latrine to avoid materialistic association with materialists. And because the Smarta Brahmins were very envious of this, because he became he was celebrated as a great saint. So then, one time, the Smarta Brahmins, they inspired some children to go and throw stones to Gaurika Shurdas Babaji. So they were throwing stones to him. And at that time, Gaurika Shurdas Babaji became angry. And he said, Krishna, stop throwing these stones. He said, he became angry with Krishna because he saw in these children Krishna throwing the stones. So yeah, that's when within prema, he sees everything. He sees only Krishna. And that's the ultimate reality. And then material life is finished. But
Maharaj,
yeah.
Maharaj, thank you for this input. It's very sweet. But one who is actually on that level, does he actually has a friend? When I mean friend, I see people like to tell people, just like what Rupa Goswami is telling us, that we should share some certain confidential talk, among like mind. So one who is on that level, does he have a such friend, to discuss issue that maybe there's an issue one cannot realize that, or maybe forgetting that Krishna is the cause of all causes. Let me say maybe somebody else is doing this or somebody else. On that level, does this thing still manifest, Maharaj?
Bhaktam Charatapasam Sarvalokamasram Surdam Sarvabhutnam Kratvanam Santam Vachati Surdam Sarvabhutanam. Krishna is one's only friend, and that's the realization of one on that platform. And he sees everyone as devotees of Krishna, better devotees than him. But he's always associating with Krishna. Always. That, and he sees everything in connection with Krishna. That's what I can say. I'm far from that level, so not a person to speak on this.
Maharaj, you have hit the nail. This is such strict injunction. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare
You hit the
Krishna.
nail. Thank you.
Mother Lalita Priti Maya, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Maharaj,
Krishna.
my question is from the previous chapters and including the present chapter. It's like when we were looking at the previous chapters, you mentioned in a comment that we cannot run away from our karma. And you gave an example of a devotee who was not paid his salary for his
Oh yeah,
work.
yes.
And then this was like constantly going in my mind, and we saw in this chapter, like the Nagapatni's section, we saw that they tried to preach Kaliya, like from many yugas they are trying to preach to Kaliya, and finally he turned out to a Vaishnava. So a doubt was constantly going on in my mind. It's like when some devotees, they are going under some trouble, and when they are being rescued by maybe their parents or by other devotees, so does this mean that they are running away from their karma, or is that like the karma is over?
No, that is also their karma probably. That's one way that it goes bad and then it goes good again. That's also good karma. That's one thing. But sometimes Krishna with devotees, he takes away their suffering to free them for engagement in devotional service. And that's a gift from Krishna. And that is also many times an aspect that Krishna loves his devotees and makes them free. That, of course, when you are chanting for many years, then a lot of karma usually is gone if one is serious devotees. That, of course, some karma is still running out. That the manifest karma. That there can be different ways, but what I learned from that is, especially during this pandemic, we see nothing works out practically. Or things go very slow and it will happen sometime. And it's so frustrating and so, but we are suffering because of our attachment. Just give up these expectations and accept your situation now. You become peaceful. But try to run after your own plans. Just accept the situation that Krishna gives us and engage and use it. Use your time to engage in devotional service in whatever situation. And give up all these expectations. Then one becomes peaceful. So the karma is one thing, but the bad influence of our consciousness, of this bad karma, that influence of our consciousness depends on our attachments. So we must let it go. We say, but whatever the situation is, respect the situation and all those involved, and understand, the fault lies in me, it's okay. And that's fine, because that's Krishna's will. The law of karma is Krishna's will. And I accept it. So it's easy to say, not easy to do. But if you hear sufficiently the Bhagavatam and so on, that will help us to cultivate this mood of detachment. Detachment is attained by attachment to Krishna. Therefore, if we hear sufficiently, then we can give up. These are a few words of encouragement I could speak. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Krishna. So, Mother Prabhupada Priya. Good.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, I'm still wondering about this point that Shri brought up, that one of the considerations of the Brajavasis would be that Krishna himself had manifested the fire just to enchant them with his pastimes. Because, if they're not seeing him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then how could they even consider that he had manifested this fire himself?
No, that's not what I understood. What I understood is that it was Kavikarma Puri who made that point. That he sees it like that. This may not be the vision of the Vrajavasis. But that's his point of view, Kavikarma Puri. He doesn't see it from the viewpoint of the Vrajavasis, but his own viewpoint. That is his opinion.
Okay, so you gave the three things. So two of them were the viewpoint of the Vrajavasis, that it could be a friend of Kamsa or a friend of Kaliya. And then the third one was not the Vrajavasi view.
Because it's in the verses, these first two. The first two are in the verses that it's spoken, these two opinions.
Okay. That was my confusion.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Yeah. Good. Then I look forward to see you tomorrow. It's a little earlier than usual, 11 a.m. 11 a.m. For me, 7:30 in the morning. And what time will it be for North America on the East Coast?
It will be like 1:30 a.m. I won't be attending. I'll hear the recording of the class later.
Okay, good. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All the best. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai. Hare Krishna.